What's up, guys? It's Mark the FUT Founder here, and I wanted to make a small snackable video for you guys because I wanted to talk about draft. Now, this is not something that I usually talk about. Draft, I think, is an absolutely disgraceful game mode. It's the worst game mode they've ever made, in my opinion. I understand the concept of it, why people like the idea of it. You can go and you can use some of the cards that, especially some of the people that don't put money on the game or spend a lot of time, can actually try out. You can use prime icon moments, all these things. You can build up these really cool cards. I have not been an advocate of it because I've always said that draft has had the worst gameplay I've ever played, and I've never really understood why. I just go, every time I go into it, it's terrible. So my whole theory on morale and handicap has always been associated with cards. I've always believed that it's just old lazy coding, basically, because EA have just done such an awful job of just taking old. They essentially haven't rebuilt the game in probably almost a decade, right? I think maybe even since I was there, right? Before they even brought it onto Frostbite. They just take the old concept of Ultimate Team, or not even the old concept, they just take the old coding for Ultimate Team, they port it over to the latest version, and then they just tweak it. They add in new additions, new game modes, whatever they change. So old coding can carry into the new game, which is why I've always believed that morale is still on it. When they took it off the cards, it was still in the game code, and it's coming to the forefront now with gameplay, which is what causes people to rage. Now, what does that have to do with draft? So draft, I've never really understood because I didn't really play that much of it. All I know is that every time I went into it, I had a bad experience with it. Lately, I've been building up these draft tokens, and they've just been sitting there. So I've decided to try and go in and try to use them, see if I can get some packs before team of the season. And one of the things that I've noticed is the more games that I lose, because there's some really good players on draft, but the more games that I lose, the next time I go in, my teams are playing really poorly. It feels as if they're getting handicapped, and I didn't really understand it. Now I'm starting to think that the theory that I've had is actually coming to fruition here, which is that handicap exists in draft, the exact same concept. Now I've always believed that, not just handicap, but morale exists in draft, but morale was always associated to cards. You'd have let's say prime icon moments Pele, and you've lost a whole bunch of games because you're in a high division or you're playing FUT champs against really good opponents. You lose, next game you go in, they play worse, and then you lose, you play worse and worse and worse, and it snowballs, the snowball effect. I didn't really understand how that applies to draft. However, in draft, I have had a really bad record, and they've gotten worse and worse and worse. Now, I'm coming up against okay opponents, but I've come up against some horrifyingly average to really not very good opponents. And it's not even about the result, it's about the way my team is playing. They're playing awful. Now, the reason that I wanted to make this video was not only to talk about this, but I wanted to show you guys an experience that I just had. So I had a FUT draft token I decided to use. I went into the first round. The last couple of times I used FUT draft tokens, I had lost. I've only gone on one run. My record in draft is terrible, which would explain why my team is so far in the mud in terms of morale that they're playing terrible. Now, I've always believed that it's, like I said, associated with cards, but I think in draft, it's associating it to the draft team, which is your account. You only have one team, so because it can't put it on a card because the cards are temporary, it associates it with the team. So when you lose, those cards disappear and you get a new set of cards that come in the draft, but it's carrying over the handicap that you've built up from your last game, if that makes sense, if you guys are following me. So it's carrying this over. So when you're taking this team in, I've got prime icon moments Ronaldinho. He's getting nerfed, he's getting handicapped because of my results in my previous drafts, if that makes sense. So, tonight I go into a draft. I'm playing against a guy in the first round. We're 1-1 in the 90th minute. My team is playing absolutely horrifying, but so is his team. My opponent was an okay player. He wasn't terrible. It wasn't this game, but we were 1-1 into the 90th minute. I get the ball through to Ronaldinho. I'm in on a breakaway. I ball roll the keeper, and I have a wide open net. He goes flying 2 players back. They both ran into each other and ragdoll and fall over, so my shot just goes flying into the net. Now, normally, if his team was not getting handicapped, he would have had his player run into the net. My shot would have been basically settled. You know that stupid animation that EA has where it defaults a player into the net, you shoot it into the goal, you think all you have to do is put it into this empty net. You've got one guy standing in the middle of the net, he's not going to stop it, but 99% of the time they stop it. The guy will jump up and he'll collect it and settle the ball on the goal line, or he'll just chest your shot and just chest trap it, and next thing you know, he's away on a counterattack. And you think, how the hell is this guy doing that? It's the way the game is coded. It's so lazy. It's idiotic. One guy just always, 99% of the time, just stops your shot. He does a better job than a goalkeeper. I'd rather have a player on the end line than I would my own goalkeeper. So anyway, I end up rounding the keeper. This guy has two players. They fall into each other. They ragdoll, which I've always said is a big indication that your team's getting handicapped. So this guy's team's probably getting handicapped. My ball goes flying into the net. I win with the handicap in my, if you can call it my favor, but my team was still playing terrible. It was two bad teams playing each other. I just got lucky and scored in the 90th minute. So I go into the second round. This game, this is the one that you're going to see. So of course I didn't record it because I was thinking nobody the hell is going to want to watch this, right? So I have the highlights here. I couldn't actually, I'm laughing to myself because this is so idiotic. This team that this guy was using, I've never seen a team more oddly assembled. He had something like 60% chemistry. It looked like he wasn't even trying to link them. He was just playing players out of position. I remember being really taken back by how obscure his team was in terms of the amount of red links he had. He had no real actual green links. There were reds everywhere. He was using gold Luis Suarez. He had like Martinelli, some other random players, but there was no attempt to make chemistry or make the team make any sense. He literally just picked whatever card, I guess, of players that he liked, and he just put a team out there. Didn't even make subs. He literally went into the team with that, or he went into the game with that. 60 chemistry this guy's got. Goes into the game. Now, I apologize to this opponent if he ever sees this. I don't mean this in a rude way, but he was not a great opponent. I played against some really good players in division rivals, in FUT champs. You can tell when you're playing against a good player. The players keep the ball away from you. They know how to hold possession. They know how to use skill moves. They know how to be evasive. This guy was not that. He literally would get the ball and he would just hit pass forward. Now, why is this all important? What does this have to do with anything? Well, the fact is my team had lost games prior to it, and they were playing absolutely horrifying. So I want to show you guys how, if you guys can follow with me here, how horrifying this gaming experience was. This was the heaviest I've ever been handicapped in my life. Now, I'm not a big believer in scripting. Scripting to me is the concept of saying, hey, we want Joe Blow to win this game. We're going to force the game to him. I don't believe that. I just believe that your previous results impact how your team plays in the next game, but it can cause a result. And that's where people get confused with the idea of scripting. There's nothing in the game code that says player A has to win. There's nothing in there. But there is things that are in there that are called sliders, and sliders move. And based on your last result, the slider will start or default in a position, or they'll dynamically move throughout the game. But if you get scored on, they'll massively drop, as opposed to when you're not getting handicapped that heavily. If you get scored on, they might slightly drop. Now, the dynamic difficulty sways in the game, but it can heavily impact you. And there's countless amounts of examples of that in this game, but I obviously can only show you guys what we have at our disposal here, which is the highlights, because I didn't record the whole game. So I'm going to show you guys his goals, and then we'll show you mine at the end. Now, mine are not super relevant. I can show you guys the goals I scored, but we'll come back to that in the future. What I really want to show you guys is the goals that he scored and how simple the game made it for him. So this first goal, Luis Suarez, really easy, pass, very standard FIFA goal. Okay, a couple things to take notice of here. The fact that none of my players followed any of their runs. They all bunched in the middle. None of them intercepted a single thing. 2 passes he's through. Luis Suarez right down the middle. Didn't even try to place it into a corner. Did not try to be evasive. All of the shots, for the most part, that you're going to see him take, he just hit shoot. He didn't try to round the keeper. He didn't try to place into a corner. He just hit shoot. Not only that, but he's right in front of my keeper. My keeper's got square position, and the keeper either short arms it or in many cases does this, and he falls out of the way. You're going to notice that a lot. So let's go back and watch that. Watch Luis Suarez, right? Holds the run perfectly, comes right down the middle, literally straight onto the keeper, shoots it right down the middle of the goal, and my keeper fell out of the way. Now, all of my players, if you guys can see there, Chumeni, look at the way he's indirect running. Okay? He's doing that wobble run. You're going to see that a lot in these game highlights. One, you're going to see players that run over top of the ball. They don't identify it because they're not trying to take the ball. They're trying to let my opponent pass freely through players. There's going to be countless times where it goes, like, you might not see it that much in this because it's usually in like the breakout play that he has or in the midfield play, but his passes will go right through my player's legs. Even if I have good positioning, it'll go right over top of their foot. It'll just barely miss. And then you'll see a lot of indirect running. Indirect running, basically what it's doing is, let's imagine you have 2 players that are in the same starting position. The ball's here. Both of your players should ideally get to the ball at the same time. But let's say one player, like Team of the year, Antonio Rudiger, that I have, is faster than Luis Suarez. Antonio Rudiger should get to the ball before Luis Suarez. Indirect running basically says this: even if your player's got an advantageous position, it wobbles your run and it takes him off balance. So the direct run of Luis Suarez will cause him to get to the ball on time. It will not follow runs. It'll let players in behind, and it will also part your defenders massively, or it'll bunch them all up so lanes open up and players can run in behind. There was no skill on that pass. Now, I know that's really harsh to say, and I'm not trying to insult this guy, but there was no skill to them. He passed into traffic and then just hit through ball. All my players literally just ran forward and just stood there, and the ball got sent in behind. He ran in straight and just shot straight at the keeper. Now, sour grapes aside, let's say, okay, that's an anomaly, that's an outlier, that's just a FIFA goal, he scored one of those. Okay, let's go to his second goal. The second goal here, Antonio Rudiger over the ball. Team of the year, Marquinhos over the ball. Both of them do not lock into the ball. Antonio Rudiger, team of the year, honorable mentions, Antonio Rudiger runs straight over the ball. I was sitting there watching him, waiting till he would hit sprint so the ball becomes somewhat detached and you can run and you can collect it. Because if I would have just ran past him, he would have done one of these. You'll see that a lot. They let players pass by them, and you are having to switch players to pull guys back into position. Because when you're getting handicapped, your players will directly move out of the way. They will move out of the way. Now, in this case, not only did he not move out of the way because I was controlling him, but when I identified that he had the ball in a position that I could take it, I sprint over to it and watch him. He runs right over top of it. Not only that, but he did that kind of jockey, like the lean over, so he's not locking into the ball. He's not reading it. Second of all, team of the season Marquinhos. Team of the season Marquinhos has a chance to collect the ball after he even runs past Rudiger. The ball's sitting there, Marquinhos does this, where he just moves in behind, so the player's now in on goal. Not only that, but both of his players come in on goal. So none of my other defenders identify it. They move out of the way, they move back and out of the way. So he's got a 2-on-0. Not only that, but when he's coming in, the Luis Suarez, watch the run Luis Suarez makes. He makes a perfect run, holds the line, and runs laterally with him, and they separate perfectly, so he's got a perfect opportunity to make an easy tramp goal. Okay? When you're getting handicapped, when you're on breakaways like that, your players will do a couple things. Let's say that was my team, and I was using Luis Suarez. If I would have come running, I was using whoever made that pass, I come running in, the Luis Suarez would stand there or he'd back off. So if I make the pass, he's got to hook pass it backwards. And by the time that hook pass comes, it'll be underhit. The keeper would have moved into a position where he can make the block or he can make the save. That's one. Two, he'll actually run towards you. He'll do a wobble run and he'll run towards you, so he doesn't give you a very good angle. So if you do make the pass, again, the keeper's got a chance to move in a position and make the save. Thirdly, this is the third option, the guy will run into an offside position. And you'll see this a lot when you're getting handicapped. You'll run, you'll have the player next to you, and you'll be like, all I have to do is tramp it over. It'll probably stutter your player. The pass will come in, but it will only come in once the guy's in an offside position. So pass comes in, he kicks it into the wide empty net, you get called offside. That happens a ton. 4 chances I had in this game that, of course, they don't show because they only show the goals now in the recaps. 4 chances I had where I had created clear-cut chances inside the 18 wide open. 2 of them were with prime icon moments Ronaldinho, and 2 of them were with Mohamed Salah. The first one, now I was getting a crazy amount of players stuttering up top. They wouldn't take advantage of their acceleration. This again happens when you're getting handicapped. Ball comes into Ronaldinho. His defender goes running past him. I come back around, and I'm facing goal. So if you guys are the frame of the goal, I'm coming across the box with Ronaldinho onto his right foot. I want to finesse the ball around the keeper easily into the empty net. 10 times out of 10 this should happen. This is prime icon moments Ronaldinho. Not only does he not finesse it, but the shot rockets. Now, I didn't put a lot of power on this, but it rockets right off the crossbar, hits down on the line, and bounces up. My Ronaldinho runs perfectly right into the middle of it, so it goes right over top of his head, right to his player, who does one of those hook fall over clears, and the guy's away. So that's one of them. Twice I had Mohamed Salah where I sent the ball from side to side, so I have a one-on-one. He comes sprinting over with his defender. Mohamed Salah cuts back around, and I'm in position where I'm facing goal in between the posts. Both times this happened. Both shots I took with Mohamed Salah, if you guys again are the goal, I took the shot, it went off the outside of his foot, and it spreads and goes wide of the post. Twice that happened. Twice. Then the third time, I'm in on a breakaway with Ronaldinho. His keeper is coming out at a weird angle. I just wanted to hammer it into the far post because I didn't trust the ball. I didn't trust rounding the keeper because, like I said, I had bad luck where it goes into player lock and other things like that. I'm through on goal. I just want to hammer it into the whole side of the net. I got the whole side of the net open. He scuffs the shot and it goes trickling by the far post by about 10 feet. It was insane, the things I was seeing. Absolutely insane. So I know that this sounds crazy, but you guys are going to see all these examples of just like players stuttering, doing weird animations. Again, another chance where he comes running down. He doesn't even try to run the keeper. He doesn't try to like put the shot in really any type of intelligent position. He just sprints as fast as he can and just hits finesse shot. And again, my keeper falls over, just falls out of the way. And of course, he celebrates, right? This one, again, another really, really interesting one. Now, watch two things here. One, Hakimi. Hakimi's bouncing off. Now, you can say whatever you want. Hakimi doesn't have the strength. Luis Suarez is stronger. But not only does Hakimi bounce off of him and doesn't take it, even though I'm trying to hit tackle there, he bounces off of him and then he backs up. So watch Hakimi on that replay. Watch Hakimi here. Bounce, bounce, and then jets. He shoots out of the way. EA does that all the time for a way to screw you. So you're bouncing off of the opponent, and then they'll shoot back and takes him out of position. So now the guy's clear. It doesn't body him all the way to the goal, so it puts him under pressure. It wants to get rid of the player, so he'll bounce off of him, and then he'll shoot out of the way. So that's one. Second of all, I want you to watch Rudiger in the middle. So Rudiger tries to come over and tackle. He's got a line. Now, based on Rudiger's speed and based on the position that he had, he should have been able to get to the ball first. But you're going to see him while he's running, after Suarez knocks off Hakimi, he's coming in a straight line. The guy doesn't try to even make a move, no skill move, no angle, just runs in a straight line. Rudiger has position on it, and he should get there first. Watch Rudiger stutter, which causes Suarez to now be ahead of him, and Rudiger will just get there behind. It does that for a couple reasons. One, it wants to create the opportunity for Suarez, but two, it knows that if you're going to get there, you're going to have to put in a tackle, so it'll cause you to have to slide tackle, which will probably slide tackle him from behind and cause at least a penalty. So the game is screwing you here. Now watch Rudiger right here, okay? He's got a line on the ball. Whoop, you see him do that little jink inside? It takes him off his rail and moves him out of the way, so now he's behind the play. Whoa, right there. So see, he's just barely out of the way, and he just barely misses the slide tackle. All those things are handicap. This is coding. This is a coding issue that EA has. Watch this again. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Does that little pull? That's taking you off the track. Now, anyway, the point of all of this is not to sit here sour grapes because I lost in the second round. I could care less about draft. The reason that I'm making this, guys, is because I want to show you guys what is going on with this game. This game, people just get mad at it. They just go, EA screws you. Oh, it's servers. Oh, it's the handicap. It's this and that. Oh, they don't really understand what they're talking about. This is a coding issue that EA has had. In my opinion, this is criminal. This should be a criminal act, right? They should be charged for this. And I know that sounds really crazy for people to say, like for me to say, but this is not an issue of just like, oh, the game's screwing you over. People spend money on this. Where this is a criminal issue for me is the fact that they're trying to get people to spend money to chase icon moments, to chase special cards, to chase team of the season. They release all these promo packs, all these special items. What is the point of getting a prime icon moments card if they're going to get screwed over by the way the game is coded? What is the point of that? That to me is criminal. They should be fired. Whoever worked on this should be fired for that, because that to me is a disgrace. That's a disgrace of a video game. I don't know any game in the world that goes out of its way to try to handcuff you because your players have taken losses, or because, let's say in theory it's not even because of morale, let's say because, oh, your team is too highly rated. But the fact that you are trying to go out and acquire high rated cards that you've spent money on, spent time on, spent whatever on, FIFA points, coins, whatever it is, spend your time trading, and that shit happens. That is crazy. That's crazy to me. Right? This should be criminal for them. Whoever worked on this game should be fired. And I have no qualms about saying that. I do not work for EA. I used to. I enjoyed my time there, but like I don't care. I don't work there anymore. What the hell do I care? These guys are getting away with like literally crime. That's theft right there. When you're asking somebody to spend a bunch of money on this game and that shit happens. That's nuts to me. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you sticking with me to the very end. I know that this has been a little bit ranty and ravey, but I hope that helps you guys understand that FUT Draft is still just as bad as all the other game modes. If you are not using a token, do not waste coins on it. Do not waste FIFA points on it, especially because this is just as screwed up as all the other games in it. This game is a complete abortion. It's the worst FIFA that's ever been made, and it should be viewed as criminal because to me it's theft. That is theft of people's time and money. That they are actually asking people to charge that, and they have the audacity to ask people to spend money on microtransactions when the game can cause a result like that. Now, this is not about me. This is about people that have spent their livelihoods doing this. Can you imagine being a pro FIFA player and that shit happens? That's insane to me. But that's just my opinion, guys. Take it for what it's worth. I appreciate you sticking with me to the very end. And until next time, guys, take care. Peace.